Hello dear students, welcome back again to Chinmoy's YouTube channel, part 2 of circulatory system. So what are the learning outcomes of today's lesson? So first we will be dealing with the blood, its physical properties of blood. We will be dealing with the cellular components or elements of the blood, that is the RBC, the WBC and the platelets. And next we will be dealing with the composition and the functions of blood. So let us see what we have arranged in this video to understand about blood. Now in this slide we will first be discussing about the circulatory medium. So what is it? So we are having different types of medium in our body which helps us in circulation. Now first of which is the blood, which is present in mostly heart and blood vessels, that is in arteries, veins and capillaries. So that I have already told you, explained in the previous video. If you have not gone through it, please dear students go through it so that it will be easier for you to understand this video. Now the next comes the tissue fluid, which is found in cellular capillaries. And last comes the lymph, which is present mostly in the lymph vessels and lymphatic organ. Now here we will be mostly stressing on blood so that we can discuss about the composition and function of blood. So let us move on to the next one. Now let us discuss about the properties of blood. So what is it? Blood is a specialized fluid connective tissue. It is called a connective tissue as it connects the different parts of the body. Now human body generally consists of 4 to 6 liters of blood. Now it is approximately, we can say it contains 5.5 liters of blood. It is made up of plasma and it is made up of blood corpuscles. So blood always moves from the heart through the arteries and back to the heart through veins. So exceptions we have already studied in the previous video. Now till now, if you have not gone through those videos like of blood vessels where I have discussed about the veins and arteries, please go through it. Now how does the blood look like? It's red in color, it is viscous and it is complex tissue fluid. It is salty and slightly alkaline with a pH range of 7.3 to 7.5. Now in the next slide we will discuss about the components of blood. We have already discussed here that it is plasma and blood corpuscles. So let us move on to the next part. So what is the composition of the blood? Blood is made up of mainly two components, the plasma, and which is the obviously the fluid part, and the cellular or the formed elements which are actually the blood corpuscles and the solid part. Now let us discuss about the first part, plasma, in the next slide. Now here let us see plasma. What is it? It is nearly 55 to 60% of the blood. It is pale yellow in color and it contains the digested nutrients, waste products and other chemicals. Actually these many chemicals are dissolved in your blood. Many waste products, many nutrients are dissolved in your blood. So these all are present in the plasma. Now total volume is 2.5 to 3 liters in average adult human body. And the plasma consists of plasma proteins, which is mainly 7 to 8%. Water is in the percentage of 90 to 92%. Inorganic salts is approximately 1%. And plasma from which the protein fibrinogen when removed is called the serum. So when you are removing the protein fibrinogen part from the plasma, it is called the serum. So these percentiles and this volume of all these elements should be known by you, because in many times in your ICSE exams and the objective questions they can ask you that what is the water content of plasma, what is the plasma protein content in it. So just for your knowledge you should learn all these percentiles so that it will be easier for you to answer those questions. So instead of thinking and writing, please do memorize these percentile. So let us see what is there in the next part. Now here we are going to discuss about the cellular elements of the blood. So what are they? They are the red blood cells or corpuscles, white blood corpuscles, blood platelets or thrombocytes. Now, the process by which the blood cells are formed is called hemopoiesis or hematopoiesis. So, this is the process by which the blood cells are formed. And the three cellular components are RBC, WBC and platelets. Now, we will go to the details of this RBC, WBC and platelets in the next slides. Now, what are red blood cells? So, this is the first main component of the cellular element of blood. So, let us see the shape here in this diagram. So, RBCs are biconcave and disc-shaped cells. So, you can see they are looking like disc, and as if they are pressed by a thumb in the middle, and they are pressed from the sides, and you can see that it increases the surface area of this RBCs. Now, RBC, when it is young, it is having a nucleus. But as they mature, actually the nucleus degenerates and disc-like biconcave shaped flat in the center and thick and rounded periphery. So, the RBC, mature RBC, does not have any nucleus. It is having a flat center and thick round periphery. Such a shape of RBC is actually of great advantage to the cells. Why? Because they always increases the surface area. I have written over here, they increase the surface area. So, what is the help in this case if it is increasing the surface area? What happens? As there are lack of organelles such as mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulum. I think you remember the structure of cell which you have already studied in previous classes. So, RBC doesn't have mitochondria or endoplasmic reticulum. So, their oxygen demand is negligible. Now, RBC is very small in size, and this size helps in absorbing oxygen and enables them to travel in very fine blood capillaries throughout the body of a person. Okay, is it clear? So, they are biconcave in shape, they are flat in the center, and they are thick and rounded at the periphery. So, young RBC doesn't contain any, young RBC contains nucleus, but it gradually degenerates when it matures. Now, this red color of RBC is due to the red colored pigment called hemoglobin. Now, this hemoglobin carries oxygen in the pure blood from lungs to every cell of the body. Is it clear to everyone? Now, we will continue this in the next slide also. Now, where are these RBCs produced? Actually, these are produced in the bone marrow of long bones, ribs, vertebrae and skull bones. Now, what is the average lifespan? It is 120 days. Now, what are the number? Generally, it ranges from 5 to 5.5 millions in male and 4.5 to 5 millions in female. So, what we are seeing here in males, the number of RBC is more. So, it is 5.5 millions, 5 to 5.5 millions in male, as well as it is 4.5 to 5 millions in female. Now, RBCs have colorless spongy body which contains hemoglobin. So, we have already told that they are red in color. Though they are red in color, we can say that in absence of this hemoglobin pigment, they are colorless spongy body. So, hemoglobin is a respiratory pigment composed of iron part known as heme and a protein part called globin. So, what is hemoglobin? It is a respiratory pigment composed of an iron containing part known as heme and the protein containing part called the globin. So, here we can see we have written two terms. Now, in the previous slide, we have discussed about two components which the hemoglobin is forming. One is oxyhemoglobin and another is carboxyhemoglobin. Now, here let us see, as per the name suggests, oxyhemoglobin. So, oxygen plus hemoglobin together combines to form an oxygen-rich compound which is called oxyhemoglobin. And this oxyhemoglobin is very, very bright red in color. You can see this picture over here. I am pointing you with the help of the pointer. Follow my pointer. Now, what is happening here? Oxygen, after diffusing to the blood capillaries combined with the iron, that is the heme part, containing part of the RBCs to form the oxyhemoglobin. So it should be kept in mind that oxygen is not combining with the globin or the protein part. It is combining rather with the heme part of the hemoglobin, that is the iron containing part, and it is forming oxygen rich compound, that is oxyhemoglobin, which is bright red in color. Now we have also spoken of the term carboxyhemoglobin. So in the next slide we will discuss that. Now what is carboxyhemoglobin? Now hemoglobin also is having a strong affinity for carbon monoxide. Now here you can see that hemoglobin, when combining with carbon monoxide, it forms carboxyhemoglobin. But it is actually not good for the cells. It is not good for the RBCs to be rich in carbon monoxide. Actually it causes anemic hypoxia, or the oxygen in the blood reduces, as the hemoglobin, which is having an affinity with binding with carbon monoxide. So here in this diagram you can see that whenever the hemoglobin is binding with carbon monoxide, oxygen is less in that cell, particular RBC cell. So if this continues to happen with all the RBC cells, the person will be suffering from a disease called anemic hypoxia, and this is actually a silent killer. It may lead to death also. So if in our lungs, if in the alveolus the amount of carbon monoxide increases, that is if carbon monoxide combines more with the heme part of hemoglobin, then it causes a severe deadly condition. So let us take an example. What will happen if you keep a person with a burning furnace on in a closed room? So what will happen? Carbon monoxide will be produced in the furnace and the room is closed. It is not having any ventilation. So all the carbon monoxide will be combining with the hemoglobin of RBC, and in that case the blood will be filled with carbon monoxide, and rather the lungs or the alveolus will all be poisoned, and that reduces the capacity of the blood to carry oxygen, because as already hemoglobin is combined with carbon monoxide, it can never combine with oxygen, and as the room is closed also, oxygen supply is also not there. So the person will die. So carboxyhemoglobin rather is very harmful for our health if it is present in high quantity in the blood. So we should be aware whenever a person is smoking or a furnace is on in a closed room, there should be one ventilation, otherwise it can lead to death. Now let us see what is there in the next part. Now till now we have completed about RBC. So now we will have a view about WBC. So what are these? These contain nuclei and are cells which are much larger than RBC. Now you can see the RBC cells here and the WBC cells here. I am showing the pointer. So you can see the WBC is much more bigger than the RBC. Now they do not contain any hemoglobin, and so they are colorless. There are mainly two types of WBC, mainly granulocytes and agranulocytes. So what are granulocytes? Granulocytes are the WBCs which are having grains or certain particles in them, and agranulocytes do not have any grains in them. Fine granules are not present in those agranulocytes. Now let us quickly have an overview of what are granulocytes and what are agranulocytes. Now first let us take the agranulocytes. So what are these? Now monocyte and lymphocyte are the agranulocyte. So monocyte, they are the largest leukocytes. You can see, seeing the structure of all this here, this is the largest leukocyte, and it accounts for mainly 3 to 8% of the total WBCs. And the nucleus is very large, and the nucleus is mainly bean or kidney shaped or U-shaped, and they are phagocytic in nature and ingest the germs and clean up the damaged cell. So this is the function of monocyte. They are phagocytic. They ingest the germs and clean the damaged cell. Now let us move on to lymphocyte. Lymphocytes, they account for 25% of total WBCs. They have a large nucleus which is almost spherical in shape with a dent-like depression on one side. You can see it is having a dent-like depression on one side which occupies almost more than half of the cell volume, and they produce antibodies. Lymphocyte, they are not engulfing any cell, or they are not phagocytic. They are generally producing antibodies which plays a very crucial role in immunity. So these are immunity boosters. They help in production of antibodies which help in boosting the immunity. Now we will quickly shift our notice to the granulocytes. Now granulocytes here, three are there: eosinophil, basophil and neutrophil. So first we will take neutrophil. We can see it is having fine grains inside. It is having a nucleus which is having mostly 3 to 6 lobes. Now the special characteristic of this neutrophil that it is having, it can be stained by both the nucleus or the granules can be stained by both acidic and basic dyes. And neutrophils are also, they are also phagocytic in nature. Now next we will, and they count 50 to 70% of the WBC in our blood. And next to which comes the basophils. The basophils, generally the nucleus we can't see properly, so the nucleus is indistinctively lobed. So as it is indistinct, it is not distinct, we are telling that it is indistinctly lobed, and it is almost the same size of neutrophil, but it is very less in our blood cells. We are having 0.5% basophil in our blood, and it produces a chemical called histamine which dilates the blood vessels and makes their wall leaky for the leukocytes to fight germs. So it creates a chemical histamine which makes the blood vessels leak, so that they come out of the blood vessels and they fight the germs. So they are also having a germ fighting capability. So now last we will move on to eosinophil. What these are doing, they are 1 to 4% in our blood, and they are having mainly bilobed, and the cytoplasm is having large and rough granules, and we can see that they are stained red here with acidic dyes such as eosin. Now they produce antitoxins to detoxify the poison secreted in the germs. They also activate the chemicals to fight allergy. So when a person is allergic, the eosinophil test is done because they produce antitoxins to detoxify the poison secreted by several germs, and they also activate the chemicals to fight allergy. So this is almost a sum of all the WBCs, both the granulocytes and agranulocytes, with a simple and lucid format of their functions. So please go through it, go through your textbook. You will get almost everything in your textbook there. If you are not getting it there, please do listen to my videos again and again, because I have made it very clear here. Now let us see what is there in the next part. Now, what is the function of WBCs? Mainly in the previous slide, I have stressed on all the cells that they are having phagocytic functions. They are engulfing the germ cells. So what they are actually doing? They are protecting the body from infection by ingesting the foreign bodies like bacteria and viruses. Now they help, they are having an ability to change the shape. We have seen that lymphocytes and all, they can change the shape easily. Neutrophil also, and they can reach the site of infection and destroy the germs by engulfing them. So that is called phagocytosis, and they help in the formation of antibodies which neutralize and kills the germs that enter our body. So they are all responsible for immunity. So the main function of WBC is they are acting as immunity boosters. The cells help in killing the germs. They secrete certain chemicals which help to kill the toxins or destroy the toxic effect of the germs or the chemicals produced by the germs, and they are also producing antibodies which help to neutralize or kill the germs that enter our body. So basically they are, in one word we can tell that they are helping us to form a strong immunity. So let us move on to the next one. Now last comes the platelets. So what are these blood platelets? These are called some thrombocytes, and these are mainly colorless disc-shaped cells without any nuclei, and they are smaller than RBCs as well as WBCs. They float in the blood. They are bounded by a membrane and contains a few organelles, and they are always without a nuclei. I have told you they are always produced in a bone marrow, and they have a lifespan of 5 to 10 days. They release a chemical called thromboplastin which initiates the process of blood clotting. So this is all about the components of blood. Now about the function I am not discussing in this video because it will be quite a vast video then and you will feel bored. So I will be discussing about that in the next video which I will be uploading very soon. So please be thorough with all the components of blood. Be thorough with the previous video which I have posted on blood vessels. So let us see in the next slide, how does a platelet look like? You see here, this is the pictorial representation of a blood, that is RBC, and these are all platelets. So is it clear? They are oval or round in shape, and they are the fragments from the giant cells of bone marrow, and they are quite smaller than this RBC, and they help in blood clotting. So this is all for today's episode, and I will again request you to subscribe to my channel so that whatever I am posting, you will keep yourself updated with each and every lesson, as I am posting very systematically and in a very lucid way so that it is easier for you to understand. So in the next video I will be posting about the functions of blood, and next to that we will be discussing about the blood clotting. So this is all for today, dear students, and please write your queries and comment in my comment box, and don't forget to like and share my videos. Thank you.
Thank you.